What is democracy? What is democracy?
Got something to do with young men.
Hey, what's up? This is Bass Beast Bros Fishing, and today I'll be talking about the 3 best soft plastics for bass fishing. The most versatile, anywhere to use baits just for bass fishing in general. It's different than hard baits. If you're just wanting to catch some bass, you could just use soft plastics, because soft plastics generally get more hits, and they're smaller profile most of the time, but they have more of a lifelike appearance sometimes than hard baits. But here's the top 3 right here. This is what you call a Ned Rig. Well, this is Ned Rig hook right here. So this works, anywhere, especially in like ponds, and I've had good luck in rivers. So this is I'd say a 1/8 ounce jig head right here, or 1/4 ounce, and you could put anywhere from a Ned Rig on there, Ned Rig Bait, like these right here. These work really well. But the thing about these baits, they're made of elastec, and when you put them in the sun or next to another bait, they could melt. So I like to keep them way down in my tackle box. I have like a backpack type thing, and I just keep them way down in the backpack so they don't melt. So you typically just put them on there like that. I'll show you how to put them on here. So basically, you want to line it up with the end of your shank right there, and you want to put it right through the top. Just melt it a little tad bit, this one right here. Just put it up about like right there, and once you feel it, it's good, just push it through all the way through, and like that. So see, like I said, that one melted a little bit. But because I already used this one, but typically like that. But this represents a bluegill, and perfect for little ponds and stuff like that, because typically for ponds and smaller bodies of water, you want to downsize your bait. Typically any of these 3 will work perfect. This right here is a Ned Bomb by Missile Baits, green pumpkin, gold black flake, works very well. This is a bio bait, green pumpkin leech. No, not green pumpkin leech. It's a green pumpkin, but it's not leech. I forget. It's the bluegill version, I think. That works great. I love that. No, actually, no. This is a Berkeley. This is a Berkeley Max Scent drop shot. And the leech one I don't have with me, but it works very well. Bio bait leeches work very well. On to number 2. Number 2 is Ned Rig. Not Ned Rig. Wacky Rig. So with the Wacky Rig, you could even hook these up on a Wacky Rig for smaller ponds and stuff like that. And when you let it fall, you'll get some really good action on that. Or even something like that I do all the time on a Wacky Rig. You'll catch lots and lots of bass. That's like probably the best thing on a Wacky Rig hook. You just hook it straight through the middle if you want to just catch a lot of bass, or smaller bass, or whatever in general. But they can still catch bigger bass, soft plastics and stuff. It's just they can mostly catch smaller bass, but that's not true all the time. This right here, you hook it straight up the middle. This is a Guggen bait lunker log. I don't like this brand specifically because they fall apart super easily. See, you just pull it like that and it just falls apart super easily. So, but other baits, there's lots of different Senko brands, but typically the best Senko brand is the Yumdinger, and that's like $2.99 at Walmart. So that's the best. There's a bunch of Gary Yamamoto's, Guggens, all that stuff. They're like $7-8, and those ones are just the best. Strike King works really good as well. I think they run around $6 though still, but still pretty expensive. Same thing, you could Wacky Rig this. Sometimes this is a trick stick, I believe, and sometimes I see with these longer straight tail worms, if you Wacky Rig them, they won't inhale the whole thing, and you won't be able to get a hook set because, well, they just don't inhale the whole thing because it's so big. Sometimes they do, but that's why I like using a anywhere from a 4 to 6 inch Senko or plastic on a Wacky Rig. That's the perfect range, I'd say. And I mean, you could put other things, like I said, like Ned Rig Baits, smaller soft plastics like that, or like these guys right here, the bigger ones, right, like that. And number 3 would be Texas rigs. So this is one of the simplest ones right here, just a Texas rig. You could use a wide gap worm hook or a straight worm hook, just a regular old worm hook. And what you do is you could use them for these and Senkos and stuff like that. And if you don't know how to Texas rig, I'll show you how to Texas rig. So you just go right through the top, very top, like that. Go down just a little bit, maybe like a quarter of an inch down. And usually I say you go down as much as the end of that thing is. So I usually put it up right up to about here when I put it all the way up. So you want to put it down like that a little bit. And then go all the way, push it all the way through. You see how I have a little bit there only? Push it all the way through. Then what you do at the top is you twist it around. Twist it around like that. So, and then it will be pre-tied, so it'll be over your knot a little bit, but that's okay. They won't even see your knot, so that helps a little bit too. But that's what it'll look like. And what you do is, you see right there in the front, you go to the bottom, right there at the very bottom is, and you hold your finger on that. Then you go, remember where it was by putting your finger there? You push it straight through like that, just straight through it. And you push straight through and up. That's how you Texas rig right there. And if you want it more weedless, just barely push it into the side of the plastic a little bit. Just a little bit like that. See, that's perfect. Because it's not too exposed, the hook, that it's not too into the bait, so you won't get a good hook set. But it's enough so it'll stay weedless a decent amount of the time, unless you're going through really thick stuff. And if you're going through really thick stuff, like big things of grass or something like that, or thick weeds, you want to use like a weight on the end. So you probably an 1/8 ounce to maybe a 1/4 ounce at the most, or 1/16 to about a 1/4 ounce weight. Bullet weight at the end works really well. But anytime during the spawn, anything weightless during the spawn, craw or a soft plastics, a weightless craw or a soft plastic Senko or a finesse plastic works extremely well. And what I do is, especially craws work best for me during the spawn. Whenever I've fished the spawn, I love fishing the spawn, and that's typically when I do the best. Some people don't do as good during the spawn. They do better in the pre-spawn, but you know, it varies to what you've learned and stuff like that. So for the spawn, I love using this color right here. It's like a reddish orangish, but in the spring of the year, the craws are really red, so I like using a red color, almost like a cinnamon. You could use green pumpkin, red flake is if you want as well, but I love using this one right here. This is a mix between a creature and a craw bait. It's a Ned Rig Bait, by Missile Baits, I mean, and you could do the same thing on this one right here. Just Texas rig it, and straight up the middle right there. There you go. That'll catch almost typically every spawning bass during the spawn that's on a bed, and just drop it above, but right over its head, and if you just slowly let it fall and kind of twitch it around and jig it up quick, and just let it fall slowly again, they'll eventually just inhale it, and then it's a great bait for the spawn. I love the craw. Texas rig craw right there, especially that color right there. I don't remember exactly the color, like I said, cinnamon or something like that works really, really well. So, you could put many different things on a Texas rig, wacky rig, or a Ned rig. That's the nice thing. Some things like a swim bait might not fit on a wacky rig, but you can put smaller swim baits on a wacky rig, which will work, and then in return you could put them on a drop shot. In which I'm saying I'm kind of putting another twist on this I'm kind of adding the drop shot too, because drop shot was probably my second or so favorite bass fishing technique of all time. And it's similar to just using a wacky rig, but typically you have a leader, like a 12-inch or so leader. You have your hook here, and then you have your drop shot weight here. So basically it looks like this when you have your drop shot weight, and you have your wacky rig hook up like that. And you use a polymer knot, and then you take the leader end and go all the way down through the eye of the hook, and then you go all the way down tight at the end. And it depends on time of the year where they are in the water column, but typically anywhere from 4 to 12 inches above the weight I like putting the hook, so that works really well. And baits like drop shot baits work really well. Like these, they could still work well on there, but drop baits like this, which got lots of action on them, or even like this, those work really well. They got great action, and good way to, if you're going to use a drop shot or a wacky rig, if you're going to use these, you could hook them through the middle, but you could also hook them through the head too. And my favorite way to hook them through the head is because it gives it more action, is what I'd say. You just put it straight through the head, like that, and you just put it in a little bit up the bait, and you could still put it like that. I like leaving the hook exposed quite a bit, so you could still get a really good hook set on it. And when you're dragging that off the bottom or hopping it, that gives it a lot of action. It's almost like floating in the water, so that works really well too. So any craws with the Texas rig, Senkos with Texas rig, I mean, even these smaller ones, you get smaller size Texas rig hooks. But typically Texas rig hooks, I get a 3 or 4 and there's a difference. This is a wide gap worm hook, Texas worm hook, and this is just a simple worm hook. I like the wide gap a little bit better because it gives you more room to set the hook, and it gives you more room in its mouth, in the fish's mouth, to set the hook. So it's a lot better for me in general. These could still come in handy. More straight tail worms, I could say, work pretty well. But these are a little bit better at keeping the weeds away, I'd kind of say, because I could kind of rig them in a little bit different style or fashion, you know what I mean? But even like this. So, I mean, you could put a swim bait on both of these hooks. Swim baits as well you could use for all these things. And you just put it straight through the head. And for anyone who's never fished like a swim bait, fish it this way up. The tail's going down. I made that mistake before. I mean, it's not gonna like be really bad if you don't put it like that, but you'll still catch fish. But this is the way it's meant to go, like that. And you just put it, through there a little bit. And they do make hooks just specially designed for swim baits if you want them a little bit more weighted, or just a little bit more swim bait type style, that they screw into the head and you pull them out. It's typically a Texas rig or hook, or a worm hook with a screw type feature in the front. Then you put it through like that. Then you got your you got your swim bait right there. So, but yeah, thanks for watching the video. Thanks for checking all this out. I appreciate it, and I hope you guys learn something about soft plastic fishing. This is my favorite. This will catch bass just anywhere you go. Maybe not in the winter in Michigan, but where I'm at. But anywhere else, pre-spawn, spawn, and post-spawn, all these work really well. What I like to do in the post-spawn, I like to run a weight of it's kind of like a Texas rig type deal, but it's like a weightless Texas rig with a straight tail worm, and you could use brighter color straight tail worms. It's funky because the post spawn bass are really aggressive because they're guarding the fry and stuff, and they're cruising the shallows and stuff like that. So anything like a weightless Senko or straight tail worm works really, really good for that. But during the spawn, anything that's like threatening to a bass during the spawn works perfectly well. So typically almost any bait there is, but crawfish work the best. These swim baits work pretty good if you slow roll them, and these will work really good if you want to do it something really slow. If you usually in the spawn, sometimes you're sight fishing if you could see the bass on the beds. I take something like this, even I put it on a drop shot or even a wacky rig and just move it pretty slow over a bed, and that works great usually. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on Bass Beast Bros Fishing.